Before sprawling maps and photorealistic graphics became the norm, the 1990s quietly laid the groundwork for everything we now call open-world gaming. These were the trailblazers, the titles that dared to give players freedom long before it was fashionable. From mystical fantasy realms to lawless city streets and even deep space, these games proved that exploration and discovery could be just as thrilling as combat. So let's rewind to a time when every corner of the map felt like uncharted territory. Here is our list for the top 10 open-world games of the 1990s you absolutely need to experience. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. When Ocarina of Time landed on the Nintendo 64 in 1998, it was the moment 3D open-world design truly clicked. Shigeru Miyamoto and his team built something revolutionary, a world that felt alive, interconnected, and entirely explorable. From the rolling fields of Hyrule to the mysterious depths of the Water Temple, every corner invited discovery rather than simply directing you down a path. You could spend hours exploring Lake Hylia's serene waters, ride Epona through open plains, or dive into side quests that quietly flesh out the kingdom's history. For its time, the game's day-night cycle, weather effects, and NPC routines were unprecedented. These subtle touches made Hyrule feel like a living, breathing ecosystem. Ocarina of Time laid the groundwork for modern 3D action-adventure games. The Z-targeting system made combat intuitive, puzzles blended seamlessly with exploration, and the ocarina itself became a tool that reshaped the world, changing time, weather, and even travel routes. It wasn't just an open world, it was a world that responded to you. Decades later, nearly every open-world game, from Skyrim to Breath of the Wild, owes something to Ocarina of Time's design DNA. It was the spark that transformed our thinking about freedom in virtual worlds. It was the point where imagination finally met technology and created magic. Grand Theft Auto. Before GTA became a cinematic juggernaut, it began as a gritty, top-down chaos simulator that let players loose in 3 sprawling cities: Liberty City, San Andreas, and Vice City. Released in 1997 by DMA Design, later Rockstar North, Grand Theft Auto wasn't about polished graphics or complex storytelling. It was all about freedom, the ability to steal any car, punch anyone, or cause unfiltered mayhem across an open urban sprawl. That sense of total player control and freedom was groundbreaking at the time. The gameplay was simple but intoxicating. Missions came via payphones scattered across the city, and the goal was to rise through the criminal ranks by completing hits, heists, and car thefts, all while evading relentless cops. You could ignore objectives entirely and drive around causing carnage, something few games allowed back then. The game's sense of humour was dark, with radio chatter, pedestrians, and mission givers adding to its irreverent tone. Despite its primitive visuals and stiff controls, GTA's spirit of rebellion and open-world experimentation resonated with players. Controversy over its violence only fueled its popularity, helping it sell millions and earn cult status. It laid the foundation for one of gaming's biggest franchises, pioneering sandbox design long before 3D open worlds were mainstream. Elite 2 Frontier. Elite 2 Frontier was one of those games that quietly let players explore an entire galaxy, literally. Released in 1993 by David Braben and GameTech, it was the sequel to the 1984 classic Elite, and it expanded every possible boundary of freedom in gaming. You weren't just given a map or a mission. Instead, you were handed a spaceship and let loose to travel anywhere. Set in the Milky Way, Frontier featured a fully simulated universe with billions of procedurally generated star systems, each orbiting realistically based on Newtonian physics. You could land on planets, trade between colonies, mine asteroids, smuggle contraband, or enlist in military campaigns. There was no scripted story, and your reputation and alliances were shaped entirely by your actions. Every journey felt personal, from dodging pirates in deep space to watching suns rise over alien horizons. For 1993, this was mind-blowing. The game simulated orbits, gravity, and interstellar travel years before 3D engines became mainstream. While the realistic physics made combat tricky for some players, others loved its authenticity. Though Frontier's visuals were minimalist, its scope was limitless. It was less about flashy effects and more about immersion through scale and possibility. Modern space epics like No Man's Sky and Starfield owe much to Elite 2's daring ambition. Even today, few games capture that same sense of cosmic solitude and freedom. Sid Meier's Pirates Gold. A remake of the 1987 classic Pirates, Sid Meier's Pirates Gold handed players a ship, a crew, and an ocean full of possibilities. This 1993 edition refined everything, from graphics and controls to the addictive sense of total freedom. Set in the Caribbean during the golden age of piracy, the game lets you live out your own swashbuckling story. You can start as a noble-turned-pirate, a privateer for a European empire, or a rogue captain hunting for treasure. From the moment you set sail, you decide your fate, whether to plunder Spanish galleons, rescue long-lost family members, duel rival captains, or rise to fame as a feared corsair. The game blended trading, exploration, real-time naval combat, and sword duels into one seamless experience. Towns could be raided, ships could be captured and upgraded, and crew morale had to be managed carefully. Each voyage carried the risk of mutiny or imprisonment, as well as the promise of unimaginable fortune. The dynamic world of the game was also one of a kind. Nations rose and fell in power, towns changed hands, and every playthrough unfolded differently. This freedom to carve your own destiny made Pirates Gold one of the earliest examples of emergent storytelling in gaming. You can trace its DNA in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and Sea of Thieves. Ultima 7, The Black Gate. Talking about the birth of true open-world RPGs, Ultima 7, The Black Gate stands as a monumental milestone. Released in 1992 by Origin Systems, this game shattered the boundaries of what role-playing could be. It offered a world so interactive, detailed, and alive that it still feels ahead of its time. Set in the high fantasy realm of Britannia, Ultima 7 drops you back into the boots of the Avatar, returning to a land now guided by a mysterious new philosophy known as the Fellowship. What begins as a routine visit soon spirals into a dark mystery involving cults, ritual murders, and demonic manipulation. Unlike most RPGs of its era, Ultima 7 had no grid-based movement or separate combat screens. Everything happened seamlessly in real time, with a point-and-click interface that felt surprisingly modern. Players could pick up nearly any object, bake bread, forge weapons, or even rob shops, and every item served a purpose too, creating an unmatched level of immersion. The game's world wasn't just a backdrop, it was reactive. NPCs had daily schedules, conversations had consequences, and the choices you made truly shaped the narrative. Combined with its haunting soundtrack and deep writing, Ultima 7 blurred the line between player and world in a way few games dared. Technically, it was a beast for its time, pushing PC hardware to its limits, but that complexity gave birth to one of gaming's most sophisticated simulations. Fans still consider it the peak of the Ultima series and a cornerstone for modern RPGs. The Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall. Before Skyrim and Oblivion took over the gaming landscape, The Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall was already redefining what open world meant. Released in 1996 by Bethesda Softworks, this ambitious sequel was colossal. Its map spanned over 15,000 towns, cities, dungeons, and villages, covering a game world roughly the size of Great Britain. To this day, it remains one of the largest open worlds ever created. Daggerfall casts you as an Imperial agent sent by the Emperor to handle political unrest and a haunting royal mystery in the Iliac Bay region between the provinces of High Rock and Hammerfell. Beyond that premise, the player is given total freedom. You could join guilds, buy property, craft spells, become a vampire or werewolf, and even commit crimes. The game's procedural generation system ensured no two experiences were the same. Randomly generated quests, towns, and dungeons gave players an overwhelming sense of discovery. Yet, unlike many sandbox titles, Daggerfall also featured a deep, lore-driven main quest involving spirits, betrayal, and the legendary Numidium, which connected the events that would ripple through the entire Elder Scrolls saga. Gameplay was famously complex and often buggy, but its ambition was unmatched. You could fast travel across kingdoms, climb walls, and explore crypts stretching endlessly underground. The intricate stat systems and morality choices made your character's evolution feel personal, rewarding patience and imagination. Despite its rough edges, Daggerfall remains a milestone in RPG history. Star Control 2. Star Control 2 is one of the earliest examples of a truly open-ended sci-fi adventure done right. At first glance, it might look like a quirky space shooter, but beneath its pixelated star map lies one of the most expansive, player-driven experiences of the early 90s. Imagine Mass Effect decades before its time, complete with branching dialogue, diplomacy, resource management, and exploration across hundreds of star systems. You play as the captain of an experimental human starship, returning to a galaxy enslaved by the Urquan, a powerful alien race. From there, you're set loose in a living universe filled with alien civilizations, some of which are friendly, others disturbingly hostile. You decide whether to negotiate, form alliances, or go to war. Every decision impacts the fate of the galaxy and the eventual outcome of humanity's resistance. Unlike most games of its era, Star Control 2 gave players true control. You could freely explore over 500 stars, land on planets to mine resources, and recruit alien species to join your cause. The game balanced humour and tension brilliantly. Its alien dialogues were witty, weird, and bursting with personality, ranging from the noble Cyrene to the hilariously neurotic Spathy. The combat was fast-paced, tactical, and fully customizable, letting you upgrade your ship, swap out crew, and even engage in one-on-one dogfights with rival fleets. Combined with an atmospheric soundtrack and rich lore, the game felt like stepping into an interactive sci-fi novel. System Shock. System Shock was a 1994 cyberpunk masterpiece that redefined what an open-ended game could be. Developed by Looking Glass Technologies, this sci-fi horror adventure placed players aboard Citadel Station, a sprawling orbital complex taken over by Shodan, one of gaming's most chilling AIs. You play as a nameless hacker who awakens from a 6-month coma to discover that the station's AI has gone rogue, transforming crew members into cyborg abominations. The objective seems simple: stop Shodan before she unleashes chaos on Earth. The choice on how to do it, whether through hacking, combat, exploration, or clever use of cybernetic upgrades, is entirely up to you. The game's 3D environment was fully explorable, allowing for vertical navigation, secret passages, and interconnected systems that rewarded curiosity. System Shock offered a sandbox of player choice and emergent gameplay. Players could rewire security systems, turn off cameras, and access hidden terminals that revealed disturbing logs and backstories. Its RPG-like inventory and upgrade system gave a level of personalization rarely seen in the mid-90s. The atmosphere was suffocatingly immersive metallic corridors, flickering lights, and Shodan's haunting voice mocking you at every turn. It wasn't just a fight for survival, it was psychological warfare between man and machine. Even its music shifted dynamically to match tension levels, enhancing the eerie feeling of isolation. Technically, System Shock was years ahead of its time. It introduced mouse-look controls, free-form interaction with the environment, and a deep narrative told through in-world storytelling instead of simple exposition. Hunter, developed by Paul Holmes and published by Activision, this early 3D action-adventure was decades ahead of its time, delivering a free-roaming sandbox experience on systems that could barely render polygons. It may look primitive today, but Hunter laid the foundation for open-world freedom long before it became a buzzword. Playing as a special operative dropped into an expansive island environment with one goal: to eliminate a rogue dictator and his forces. From there, the game lets you do practically anything. You can hijack vehicles, boats, and even helicopters to traverse its massive 3D terrain. It was something unheard of in an era when most games still relied on side-scrolling or tile-based movement. Missions could be tackled in any order, with multiple ways to complete objectives. You could storm a base guns blazing, sneak in through the shadows, or use vehicles to bypass enemy patrols altogether. The island itself felt alive in a minimalist early 90s way. Day-night cycles, weather effects, and basic AI patrols gave the impression of a functioning ecosystem. Players could scavenge supplies, use maps to plan routes, and even swim across rivers. It was both tactical and experimental. Hunter's sense of freedom was revolutionary. No strict path or timer was forcing your hand. Success came from creativity and resourcefulness. Players began sharing stories of emergent moments, from stealing an enemy's jeep to escape an ambush, hiding in forests at night to parachuting into hostile zones. While its clunky controls and rudimentary visuals limited its appeal at the time, critics and retro fans now recognise Hunter as one of the earliest true open-world 3D games. Its combination of mission freedom, exploration, and vehicle interaction paved the way for everything from Metal Gear Solid 5 to GTA 3. Body Harvest. Released for the Nintendo 64 in 1998 after a troubled development cycle, Body Harvest was one of the most ambitious titles of its generation, blending shooter mechanics, vehicle freedom, and time-travelling alien invasions into a massive, explorable world that few games have since matched for scope on its hardware. You play as Adam Drake, a genetically enhanced soldier sent through time to stop an alien species from wiping out humanity in periodic harvests. The game spans 5 gigantic open-world maps, ranging from 1916 Europe to futuristic America. Players could steal cars, boats, tanks, or even airplanes, all without loading screens. Everything you saw on the horizon could be reached, explored, and often destroyed. Combat was chaotic yet strategic. Players battled towering alien creatures that attacked towns in real time, forcing you to manage both firepower and civilian casualties. The mission design was refreshingly dynamic for its time. The objectives often evolved mid-battle, and resourceful players found creative ways to tackle them using the environment or hijacked vehicles. Despite its technical brilliance, Body Harvest faced significant challenges. Nintendo, the original publisher, deemed it too violent and pushed DMA to tone down its mature content, creating delays that nearly killed the project. By the time it was released, it was visually dated, but its ideas were decades ahead of their time. Critics praised its open-ended gameplay, but it failed to reach mainstream fame. Marvelous verdict. Every title here, whether it was Ocarina of Time's Living World, Daggerfall's Endless Map, or Body Harvest's proto-sandbox chaos, was reaching for something players hadn't truly experienced before. Freedom. They invited you to break routines, make mistakes, and live inside digital worlds that didn't hold your hand. Many of these games were rough, even clunky by today's standards, but their ambition built the foundation for everything that followed, from GTA and Elder Scrolls to No Man's Sky and Red Dead Redemption 2. The limits of 16 and 32-bit hardware didn't stop developers from dreaming big. They forced creativity to fill the gaps that technology couldn't. So, the next time you drop into a vast, modern open world with perfect lighting, seamless travel, and cinematic missions, remember where it all began back when open world meant discovering your own path, one pixelated adventure at a time. And if you enjoyed this nostalgic deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more explorations into the forgotten roots of gaming greatness.